Okay, take note for surds. Okay, a surd is an irrational number involving roots. So, example, square root 2 is a surd, 2 root 5 is a surd, 2 root 5 plus 3 root 7 is also a surd. So all these are surds. However, in this chapter, alright, you also need to take note how to simplify surds. Okay, let me give you an example. Square root 50. Is it in the simplest form? No, because square root 15 can be written as 25 times 2. And this in terms can be simplified as 5 of root 2 because we can square root 25. So all surds must be in its simplest form. Okay, next. Notice what I have given you are all simplest surds for now. But what happens if I have 3 square root 2? Alright? So in the event where I have my root term at the denominator, I will need to do my rationalization. Okay, I will need to rationalize. So in order for me to make sure I get rid of my square root 2 at the denominator, I will need to multiply by root 2 with a root 2. In this case, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, I'll have 3 root 2 divided by 2. There is no more root term at the denominator, so this will be in its simplest form. However, we also have another kind of question. Example. There is still a root term at the denominator. So what are we going to do? We have to rationalize. In this case, if I need to rationalize my expression, I will need to multiply by the conjugate. Okay? Conjugate of 5 plus root 3 is 5 minus root 3. Alright? I will have to multiply by the conjugates. So in this case, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Alright? So let me write it out. And take note, if you notice about the denominator, it looks like the form a plus b, a minus b. Where you have learned in E-math, this will give you a squared minus b squared. So I'm going to apply this to my denominator when I do my multiplication, because that is the purpose of multiplying by its conjugate. So I'll have 5 squared minus root 3 squared. After that, I will need to simplify it. Take note, square root 3 times square root 3 will give us 3. Before we simplify to be 13 minus 7 root 3 divided by 22. Or you can also write it as 13 over 22 . You can also write it as 13 over 22 minus 7 over 22 root 3. Alright, this is how we do our rationalization of surd. Okay, take note, the denominator must not have any root term. That is why we need to do our rationalization. Take note, sometimes you are also required to solve this particular equation, all right, that contains square root. Okay, of course, the root term will be the one that is obstructing us. To make it simple, make sure you only have one side of the equation containing the single term that has the square root. So what do I need to do? I will need to balance my positive 3 to the other side to have 8 minus 3, which I will get 5. Okay, the key idea is so long the root term is on one side, to get rid of the root term, I can square it. So in this case, x plus 8 is equal to 25. X will give us 70. Okay, let me give you another example. How about using the same idea, I must make sure only one side of the equation contains the root term. So I'm going to balance my negative x to the other side to become positive x. Same thing, in order for me to get rid of the root term, I will need to square on both sides. After that, I'll get a quadratic equation. I will need to solve it. Alright, of course you can factorize it, or you can press your calculator to find the critical values. But take note, whenever you have two solutions, you must always check that whether both solutions are applicable in the equation. So let me put 5 inside the equation. You will realize that it works. The right hand side and the left hand side will both be 0. However, if you substitute negative 2 inside the original equation, the left hand side is equal to 4, whereas the right hand side is equal to 0. So, this will mean negative 2 is not applicable. You have to remove negative 2 and only accept 5. Take note, moving forward, whenever you have more than one solution, check the validity, whether is it possible to have all the solution. Alright?